We are live. Good evening. It is now 6 o'clock. We are going to call to order. There we go. Call to order the Pool and Recreation Center Committee meeting for August 10th at 6 p.m. on the dot. There, Roger. Okay. Roll call. Matt Sam.
Here.
Chris Evans. John Miller.
Here.
Corey Gibson.
Here.
Danny Park. Here. Roger Stewart. Here. Thank you, Roger. I appreciate you. I have to give you a hard time.
You betcha.
Andy Quant.
Here.
Melissa Fehrenbach. Janet O'Donnell.
Here.
Blake Pennington.
Here.
Neil Owens. Here. I am here, Brent Clark. Richard Ranzow. Here. Great. We have a wonderful group here. Thank you all for coming this evening. All right, moving right along here on the agenda is Pledge of Allegiance. Please join me.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, moving on to item number 4, approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Stam, seconded by? Seconded by Janet. I got her first. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, moving on to item number 5, approval of minutes. This is for the Pool Recreation Center Steering Committee minutes from July 13th and July 27th. Sorry, I've been doing them in twos because I just honestly have not had time to do them weekly. So I will look for a motion to approve the minutes as presented. Motion by Park. Seconded by Blick. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign.
I'm in abstain. I wasn't here. I don't know what he's talking about.
All right. One abstention. Motion still passes. All right, moving right along to item number 6A. This is new business. Now kind of the time that we'll turn it over to Matt and Terry and their team and Gary for the SJCF updates. And I will turn on the PowerPoint. Real fancy here. Thank you. Yeah, that'd be great if you could.
Okay.
Harry, if you can grab that microphone.
We'll get it early this time.
Awesome. And since we do have some new folks, can you quick do introductions from your team?
Absolutely. You want to start over at McCown Gordon since you're over there?
Yeah.
Terry Wiggers, I'm Executive Vice President of the SJCF. Project Manager. Team member. Matt Ham, SJCF Architecture. Gary Holland, SJCF.
Perfect.
We're without Brian with Water's Edge tonight. Couldn't make it, but we were meeting with his team earlier today, so they are working on it. He's just on the road tonight, so we will go ahead and present what they have done to date on Lions Park, and he'll have to answer for whatever screw ups I make in the presentation. So anyway, with that, we'll get started. So what we're going to talk about today, there's a few action items we'd like to have. The schedule is kind of short on this. We're looking to try to have drawings done and then McCown Gordon's hands next month. And so we're trying to kind of narrow down, as we've been doing the whole way, and get into the nitty gritty today and get some decisions on some specifics that will help us finalize the drawings. By no means are we unable to make changes going forward, but it'd be great if we could kind of narrow down a couple of things today too. First of all, though, we'll get started sketches we looked at, and some comments were made by the committee where we wanted to maximize the concrete, which we've done with kind of the gray area there on the north. This is the north side between the parking lot and the pool area. One of the big goals is to enlarge the deck area and add more concrete paving there so we could put deck chairs and shade and other amenities there that can be used, and more standing room space and events and things like that. So this curvilinear shape it's not massaged quite yet, but that is going to be new concrete, and there'll be new shade structures, which you can see in these dashed lines. They're a little faint, but there's rectangles centered on each of the curved concrete spaces, as well as one right in the middle, and then a round one in the northeast corner. They're dashed lines. And so what we have here is a combination of concrete, and the green area, the light green, kind of the pea color, is probably going to be rock. This is where our shrubs, our ornamental grasses would be, where our trees would be. And then in the teal area, right in the middle and then in the upper right-hand corner, those are the proposed turf locations. We talked about that last time as something that's really popular with the committee and the tour, that we would integrate some turf in there. So we're not talking all concrete for seating. There'll be some variation. Last time the committee had said it would be a priority to, even if we had to sacrifice a little shade, to get more features down at seating areas, different surfaces and things for people who use the pool. So we kind of took that to heart. And then these the little rectangles that are around the curves of both of those turfed areas are represent the stones. These would be the 2 foot by 2 foot by 18 inch by 4 foot limestone blocks that we would put in there. That was popular also in the tours, and that would be something that would give some texture and give some color and just some earthy natural feel to it, and offsets all this concrete we're putting in. So anyway, that's kind of where we're at. We're into the point where we're dimensioning things. Pretty soon we're going to submit this to McCown-Gordon for more specific pricing ahead of what we're doing here with finishing the drawings.
One quick question, was any of the green part raised?
Good question. We talked about berming those turfed areas, and I have a sketch that I did to try to show this a little bit. So what we were proposing, so on this sketch, you can see on the left, there's a car, that's the parking lot, there's a curb, and there's a 6-foot fence, and then there's the added area that we're adding. It's about 12 to 13 feet, depending on what we do with the fence. And so our concern architecturally is if you put a berm there, you're going to go up quick and you're going to go down quick, and then you're going to have this weird area between the fence and the berm. All your leaves are going to gather there. The kids are going to fall down. I mean, it's kind of a strange area. And then there's some cost associated with berming that turf. So the thought was, could we just put it in flat where we get the same effect? Where we maximize the turf area? If it's bermed, you might not want to be on the backside since it's facing the fence. You mainly want to be facing the pool. So what if we just put it in flat? It'd have an organic shape. It'd be turf. It'd be great, but it just wouldn't have a berm. That's an action item.
What about on the southeast corner?
Or the northeast corner, we have a little more room there. We could berm it. It's the downside is that area actually is a little smaller because we try to make room between the fence and the berm, if it is berm, for landscaping behind it. And again, if we berm it, you still got to come down the backside. One of the thoughts we had was, could we do a retaining wall and berm it up to a retaining wall so that it's just a slope one direction? And that can be done. It's easier to do in the center section because you could put the fence on top of the retaining wall. On the other section, in the northeast corner, you would have a drop off. So, if it's a 2-foot retaining wall, you could have people getting down in there and falling off of it or something. So, if it's something you want to entertain, I would berm the center section and make the other section flat, or make them both flat. It'd kind of be our, as a team, our.
Up and back down again. No, we did berm. You could go up on, stay up on.
Good. A little more cost, when we put that retaining wall in, that's going to cost money. And the fence along that sidewalk edge would, we'd keep the top of it level, but it would jog up and over, or we'd have to put it on one side of the retaining wall, so you'd have an interstitial space that would be against the wall and you'd have stuff fall down in there. So don't have to know this exactly right now. I think the question would be, are we on the right track with two turfed areas? Budget-wise, we'll get into this a little bit more, but the budget that Count Gordon put together for the shading structures came in pretty good. They got some numbers, and so we might as well address that now. They've got between $85,000 and $120,000 for 6 shading structures, and these are large shading structures. The one I've got shown on the sketch is a 16-foot shading structure diameter. This would be round or could be square with a center post. So, I mean, we could do 6 of these, or we could do some combination of these and rectangular ones. They priced the 16 by 25. You can see that. On this drawing, there's 2 rectangular ones. Those are the 16 by 25s. Actually, there's 3. There's 3. And then the round ones over in the northeast corner. So that we, if you think this is the right direction, we can mix and match these shading structures, but we would take a couple of those, the value of them, and apply that to turf, since the turf is not something we had in the original budget.
Now, is there an opportunity, maybe we're getting ahead of it a little bit here, but, I agree with Roger that, it was nice to have that berm effect. Is there an area like you had mentioned, maybe southwest by the splash pad area, that we could have the berm, so there's still some type of, because we do have so much room to the south of that fence line?
Yeah.
I mean, could we install it there, so it's at least on site? I think I agree with you that in between, our existing pool and that parking lot is so narrow. I mean, it just doesn't make sense.
That's a really great point. So we didn't show that here, but we could absolutely combine these, put them near the splash pad. And maybe there's a way to afford a shade structure there too. We just need to get with Count Gordon, sort of work the numbers.
And do, maybe one by the splash pad area.
Yeah, might as well go over to the splash. Well,
Yeah, not to jump ahead or anything, but I don't know if that was an option.
I think, we'll get to the splash pad shortly here, and that'll make more sense when we see it. It's not something that we put in, but we could easily add that and take these away and just turn this into landscaping more concrete. We would keep.
Oh, I
these-
still like the turf area and all that, so don't get rid of all that.
Oh, you like the turf on the north too?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I like this.
I do
I'm talking
too.
about adding the berm, or the hill with the turf up by the splash pad as a separate area. I love this. That's
Okay.
just me.
I got a question. What if you took the natural stones out, but made that the retaining wall and brought the berm up like you were thinking? You're still pretty much having the exact same issues of maybe trash or something going back behind there. But instead of the big stones that have a gap in them, you'd have a full wall, which could be bermed up too, creating like a half circle.
Like that one that we saw. Yeah, you
I
weren't
didn't
sure,
go.
but yeah, no, it was the one with the space turtle, wasn't it?
There's one with the one on hydraulic too. There's a hydraulic one.
You're talking about the one down south.
Yeah, the one cars that the
Yeah.
fruit stacks got stolen on.
That's the one.
Your free stacks
Starts
got
with
stolen?
an L.
No, somebody broke into it for a
Oh,
box.
Oh, that one.
Is it
Yeah,
Haley?
that's off of, that's half Seneca.
What he's saying is like, yeah, and so they had the the area for seating, and then on top of that was the berm with the shade structure on top of that. But I don't know how much we had. Sorry, Blake.
No, I was just say it was the seating was built into the berm, but that's just was.
Depends on the price of the stones, Brent. I mean, have you priced those out?
Just a thought. I just didn't know if you've got something to hold the dirt back. Basically, that's what you're not really
Yeah.
changing the design any. You're just changing the material you're using to make that blocked area.
I will just caution you, talking with Todd today, he did say the turf is not cheap. I probably know that, but so as we add scope to this now we have 3 turfed areas. So as far as priorities are concerned, you guys have an idea of the 3 areas, the center, the corner, splash pad, how would you rank those turfed areas as far as your priorities?
wouldn't you guys say the splash pad?
I would say middle is first in this area, don't
Yeah.
you think? Second, and the third would be the corner, the north
What would you put there if you didn't put turf there?
concrete.
It would be
You can still
concrete?
do the same kind of shape with the stones there. You just do it out of concrete. Concrete's much cheaper. I mean, you could easily do that.
You could
And
color it, right?
So what is the other green? What's the other green in there? That lighter
Rock
green?
landscape.
You know, we show that just diagrammatically as landscaping. So I'm talking ornamental grasses, like we talked about last time, trees, shrubs, no mulch.
No mulch.
You know, no grass,
Rocks.
you know, just rock. So, and we
Okay.
would, you know, we need to do a formal landscape plan beyond just the sketch to see how much of that is really needed. And we would absolutely give back what is not used for landscaping to the concrete. We're not going to have a vast rock bed, you know, it's going to be mostly concrete with whatever's required for landscaping to be rock.
Yeah, I was so shocked that the more rocks didn't get into the pool and into the system, but they said that none of the pools had any problems at all, which was shocking to me.
The nice thing is they're not going to go to the drain. They'll sink to the bottom. That'll be it.
I
Well,
had no problem.
to me, if you had the turf area in the middle, and then you didn't do the one over here on the corner, but then you also put one on the south side, it's kind of like, well, why even have the turf area in the middle there on the north side? Just concentrate on the turf area on the south side with the berm. Is what I would think. I mean, you could do contrast color with the concrete, like we saw, you know, them painting in different colors to give you that sort of, you know, green look or that feel without putting the turf in. I mean, I just don't understand. To me, that little space, I don't know what's the size of that space in the middle?
You're probably looking at 8 by 20. So, I mean, in the middle, you could lay down, you know, but on the edges, you really can't because of how it tapers. And of course, the shape is completely flexible. But
I mean, to me, bang for the buck on turf would be for the south side with the berm. That's my opinion. And, you know, color the concrete on the north side.
you see the little kids mostly playing on the berm?
Yeah, that's where I noticed the most too. Yeah.
And some of the big ones. Like,
We were, when we were one.
Okay, well, I think we got your priorities. Well, we maybe I'll do all of them, but I mean, it's just something we'll need to work with.
Janet, what do you think?
What's the life expectancy of turf again? Anybody know?
10
I
years.
have to focus on the splash pad if it comes down to costs.
Take it or leave it, I don't care.
I don't know for swim meets if it mattered one way or the
Doesn't
other.
matter.
Yeah, so yeah, just concrete that middle one too. It's a good idea.
If we can do like a nice one over by the splash pad that will be there, stay there for a long time, I think that would be my suggestion. I think.
You got more real estate there.
Yeah.
And as you'll see in the next couple of slides, we will have to butt the fence out. So if we're replacing fence anyway.
Yeah.
So, you know, where that ends up, it's probably not a big deal.
Big splash pad for sure.
Sounds good.
Big one.
Oh, one other thing, I'm sorry, light poles. We did a kickoff with our engineers. This would be our mechanical and electrical engineer, neither of which to do with this project. They're more going to be engaged for our building up north of town for the fitness and aquatic center. But we are engaging them for this in case there's a few things they need to take care of. One of those is light poles. I mean, right now, the poles that are acting as light poles are really are fence poles that have a light fixture mounted to them. So they're kind of number one, they're going to have to move when we tear the fence down because they come down with the fence. So it's our recommendation that we replace them with 3 poles. Right now, I think there's 4. Our electrical engineer believes we could do 3 poles and illuminate that whole area in a better way with fewer poles. So that's just something that we're going to have to work into the budget. We think that we might want to add a pole by the splash pad because of the kids playing there. And I think that's some of the dark area we talked about. We want to make sure we light that well for safety. FYI, that's probably something we'll need to work with Count Gordon to get some pricing on that. But all in all, budget wise, I was happy with the cost on the shade structures. That helps us because we can do fewer. I mean, if you do a 16 by 25 shade structure, that's a big area. And we can get it for not a whole lot of money. They're prefabricated. These are the off-the-shelf ones. Now, I'm sure a myriad of colors, so it's not like it's not going to give you a POW. There'll be a color aspect to it that we can definitely pick, and you'll get the most bang for your buck.
Nothing wrong with the catalog ones.
Nope. No one will know the difference. I mean, okay. As you recall, last time we talked about the splash pad options, and Brian gave you a whole bunch of options on that. And I think this one, this is the one he focused on, and then it's the one I recall that people really kind of liked because number one, it's kind of organic as a round shape, and it starts to work in this pattern on the concrete, which I think people have liked. And then we had a big discussion about features, which he hasn't really got into that too much, but what we asked him to do was integrate it into our model so we could see how big is this. And this, what we see here is pretty big. Will that fit on the site in the spot that we've got? So he went ahead and put it in. This is our model. A little slow. It's kind of a big file. So this is our model that we provided. We've modeled the whole facility, and you can see it over where the wading pool was. They've got this round splash pad. It does protrude a little bit into the green space. Likely, as we massage this, it'll have to go a little bit further south, and then we'll work in that berm somewhere in there. Maybe it's a horseshoe berm that kind of follows the circle, and then there and wrap your fence around it. It'd be very similar to what we're doing on the north. So there'll be some continuity around the site, different details that we do. So I guess what I'm asking for is, does this locate, does this size, and does this shape work for you? And was I accurate when I said this is one you like?
There's going to be a fence around that splash pad? Okay.
As you recall, we're going to do two fences. We'll do one on the perimeter and then one on the inside so that you guys can open it when the pool's not open.
And then the only where's the access? Is it going to come to the south or when the pool's not open? I guess I was, or are we extending where the concession area is?
It's your choice. I mean, it's not shown on this plan. What I do is get that model updated, put that in this plan.
Okay.
But with the fence around the round part, and you could have an entrance off the south, off the park.
That's where I was looking at the model. I just didn't see if that was supposed to be.
Yeah, we haven't. It's really just placeholder right now. We'll need to work the fence in, probably redo the sidewalks a little bit to get you where you want to go. And we started showing gate locations, and we'll need to come back at a future time and show you exactly where that entrance is. Get your approval.
Blake?
I like it. Yeah. I think that's a good size. And then it'd be interesting to see what the berm, where you guys put a berm and stuff. Because we do have the gate on the south side, working with that and stuff.
Yeah.
It's a good start.
What's the diameter of that? You know?
I'm not sure what to get back. Yeah, we'll have to get back with you. I don't want to guess. I'll be wrong on the record. So, yeah, it's 80 feet wide. So. Yeah, and I think we'll definitely need to come back with the features and how they integrate. Because I don't know if it looks to me like they've inserted some features, probably the ones that we talked about last time, but he'll need to be here to explain that.
You know, it's possible that if you do this with the berm, sidewalk currently that comes down and just angles there might reflect the curvature of the berm and penetrations there for entrance. So it could turn out to be a pretty nice feature from the park side.
But quite a few features there, so it looks good.
Good. Well, I'll let them know that this was something that you guys approved, and we'll move forward with the round design. Let's see. We can talk about budget a little bit. I will note that McCown Gordon put together a list of possible alternates to help us control costs. So just FYI, we don't have to get into those details tonight, but there is a list. And when you guys want to know what that list is, great, or we talk about tonight, or just address it if we have budget issues. List, we've got right now on the alternate list, we've got sound system. It's something that could be installed really anytime. I mean, it would definitely be something that would be beneficial and improve the quality of the experience, but it's certainly something that when we put light poles in, if it's something we want to mount speakers to, we can prepare for that for the future. We can do conduit and then just run. So that's an easy alternate that we can. That's a budget problem. We can definitely do that. Gary had mentioned painting the existing buildings as being a big impact.
That's the biggest impact. A lot of area to paint there, so.
These are just brainstorming right now, but any furniture that we want to put in there, clearly you guys can take care of that in the future if we want to add something. Pumps and motors.
I would not skimp on furniture, in my opinion. I would make sure we have, as a committee, make sure you guys go in and have a lot of chairs, a lot of loungers. That's something I think a lot of the different locations I've been at, they're all used. And that they could probably even use another 50 probably. So my thoughts.
My hope is we don't have to even tackle any of these alternates, but they're just there.
And some of these items, we have to identify which ones are we going to take out of the capital improvement budget,
Yep.
sales tax, or what items are potentially, can be covered by operations or, the rec commission if they have, extra funds set aside, or capital improvement funds of their own, of cash separate out of this project. So then we're not, necessarily, no offense to you all, paying admin fees and all those things on some of
We
that
can
stuff.
paint. Can't you get operational? Can we paint? What paint?
Absolutely, we can paint that.
Yeah.
We get some sprayers out there.
You
Go to town, Andy. But- And the pump's not an option now. You guys know that.
Yeah, it's going to happen.
It burned up.
Because we're talking about it so much. That's what happened. It's like, you know what? I'm going to show you.
It did. It did.
And then the only other one is the parking lot, just what we do with the parking lot. Really, that's it. Full appearance. Anyway, so those are just a few items. Maybe we'll never have to address that again. We're going to work hard to keep it under budget, on track. If there's no other questions about Lions Park, we'll talk a little bit about the status of the survey and then the aquatics and fitness program.
Okay, I'm gonna let Blake start, and then I'll jump in because we've been kind of working together here.
Yeah, I've been working with Terry and Robert on some programming side of it for the rec center and indoor pool. And we met with, they've done a lot of the YMCAs, so they have a lot of good input and that kind of thing from the DRC. He was giving us, they built their rec center in 2 phases. And so he just kind of explained some of the things that he noticed when they built the first one, what they wish they would have done in the phase 1 that they kind of struggled through in phase 2. So we've been working together with him and just like knowing the size of things and comparing what they have in the program so far to DRC's rec center and the phases that they did it in. So it was really good input. I think we met for about 2 hours the other day and just gave us some good ideas, things that you don't want to build small the first phase because there's no room to expand and that kind of stuff. So it was really good information for us to start working from. So we've got a few drafts done. So
definitely talked about some spaces that could be phased and others that really can't be. I mean, there's certain infrastructure things that are really hard to phase later, so we started talking about those. And what grew out of that, and in 2 weeks we'll come back with more detail, but you can see there in red, really we were pretty close. I mean, there was a couple little tweaks, but generally we weren't too far off from what Frank would suggest and what your programs were indicating we needed. So there was a few small changes. They affected what's in red there. So you can see we were about 61.9 before. We've dropped about 600 feet. So we're square feet. So we're pretty close. I mean, it's not like we're still making big changes. So our plan and our next step then is to sit down in the next few days with McCown Gordon with this square footage, because they've got historical information on costing and stuff. And so we can hand this to them. They know what our square footages are. We'll sit down with them and talk about, okay, what quality of this, what's construction type, what kind of equipment are we thinking about, and just have that conversation so they can put together a first cost model based on this program. My fear is we're going to be a little above your budget, so I want to do this before we start doing floor planning, because that's a disastrous time to be trying to whack a lot of stuff out. So that's our plan, is in 2 weeks to come back with more detail here, plus cost, and evaluate that. But Blake's shared several ideas on some things that can either be phased and things like that. So they're still in here. So we'll probably need to do some of that. We'll probably have to prioritize, is my guess, but we'll just have to see when we get the numbers together. So I think that's a prudent next step in this programming phase before we start actually doing schematic plans, floor planning. What we may do with them is discuss a little bit 1 story versus 2. And if we were to look at 2, what would be the stackable areas? And maybe look at both versions, 2, again, to evaluate costs. Because you can do that without a floor plan, just knowing what spaces might be up and what would be down. So that's our next step, and that will help you make decisions, quite a few decisions, I think, and get us to the point where we say, okay, we've got this program, now you guys can start working on schematic design plans and stuff. So that's kind of our plan there. Any questions on that? Or?
Just have one question. Those numbers are different than what was in our packet.
Your packets last 2 weeks ago.
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
okay,
That's
thank you.
last, and that
So
one should
these are
be-
the current ones that are
now,
up
the
here.
one that's in your packet should be 61.9, I think, isn't it? The
Seven.
total?
63,722.
Yep, this was the information that was presented last time.
So this is basically from,
We
From
skimmed
which
down,
all-
yeah.
It was-
together, okay.
It was previous to our
okay,
meeting.
thank
Yeah.
you. I
So we've
just wanted that
It
clear.
updates about every other day, so I've got 3 versions here already.
Well,
Yeah,
thank you.
we're continuing to evaluate it daily and think about things, so. Good. Anything else?
And you had, kind of mentioned and early on, when we started kind of coming up with the original concept and those things, and we explored, and I think a lot of people were on board with looking at having, the fitness area upstairs and having the track, above the gym, and thought that was really something that would be neat to have. And just, we didn't think it was within our budget. So, now when we're actually getting down to the actual full depth design, that's the exciting part when we actually get an opportunity to say, hey, it is within, but it actually saves money in this area that you can then allocate there. And so that is something that we're open to, yes.
At that time, you didn't have the pool. And with spectators and things we've talked about is maybe spectators are above the locker rooms and they're not on the pool deck and some things like that. So stacking has some sensibilities that we're going to really try to achieve that. We did talk about all of that in our meeting, the idea of a second floor track and fitness and weights. And where do you put weights so they're not rattling everybody below them and things like that. So
Just above his office. As long as it's
There you
above
go.
Blake's office, that's all I care about. We'll make that happen.
no, you don't want them sitting.
I'll
over-
donate extra for that.
Over the yoga room or something.
That.
Yeah,
yoga
room. Dead weight dropping over the yoga room. So,
Yeah, no, if it's like, we talked about tours and those things that hopefully we'll get to. And
yeah.
if it's like the maze one that, some of us have seen where it's over the locker rooms, that's great.
And I think we may, before we actually start doing schematic plans, kind of get this program, we may look at some things so we get a little better feel for. I've got just our conversations this last week and a half, get a real feel for what might work, but will it work from a budget comparatively? So that's kind of we're starting to move into that phase, and those will be interesting discussions as we move forward.
Exciting.
The other thing we've done is, and Brent's got these, we had requested surveys of the new site. We requested 4. We ended up with 2. One dropped out early, another one never turned his in. So he's on my blacklist now. But Brent's got 2 of them to look at here, and hopefully we'll make a decision on that and start moving forward to get a survey of that portion of the big property. It's basically that southwest corner and the farm and that corner. So we can start doing, once we want to move into planning, we've got information on the site, what drainage and stuff is. So we'll get that going pretty soon, as well as we'll start working on acquiring civil engineering services as well. So those are, we want to have those on board by the time we really start doing site floor plan and site planning. So we'll start moving on those as well. Don't want to be waiting on those when we get to that point. That's a quick update on where we're at on that process. Once we get past this first step of programming and evaluating costs, that will accelerate pretty fast. So we'll want to probably schedule some tours, probably in the next 4 weeks. So get some feedback there. Any questions on that, or comments or preferences of tours? We thought what we'd do is, now that we know kind of what the program is, we know what facilities are comparable. And so we'll probably try to line up tours with ones that are comparable versus one that's, another 40,000 square foot larger and stuff like that. Unless there's something specific program-wise that you'd like to see in one of those larger ones. But probably helpful to see ones that are in that 60,000 area time size.
All we got today, unless you guys got anything.
We owed you one short meeting.
But we haven't got to general discussion yet. So. That's up to, I don't really work. This is a part of mine, so it's folks that actually, have a work schedule that, I know, that's why I said that out. No, but, folks that, aren't around here, have the flexibility of, the 8 to 5ers, you let me know what works for you all.
Fridays work.
Friday, yeah.
Friday afternoons.
Friday afternoon.
Depends on which day of the week, or which week of the month it is. So, but I'll figure it out. If I can go, I go. If I don't, I don't.
Is there a certain
Okay.
one this month that you know?
Why don't we work on a list of
like you do.
suggested places, maybe play, and start working towards that. We'll have to line it up with the facility too.
Yep.
You want this
Friday
month?
afternoon might work pretty well for us today as well. I don't think it would be a problem with them.
Because if you do that first, then I can send out a Survey Monkey, and we have great response from that, and then everyone can
That's fine.
and see who has the, whichever day has the most, and go with that.
Okay.
Sound good? All right.
I can make the 26th or the 2nd work.
26.
As long as we don't get into football season. Fridays aren't so good.
Yeah, we need
late afternoon.
Exactly.
It is.
Yeah, we need to try to do that here when it gets.
Comments, I think we've got all the approvals and whatnot that we need. So.
You're fine. I'm taking a flash drive now, by the way.
Make sure you got the right one, right?
Brent, anything else for you?
So you're done with vacations? Weren't you the one on vacation like every time we were like,
Whoa.
was that a plan?
Calls you out. All right, moving right along to item 6C here, general discussion. I do have a few items here, some housekeeping items for general discussion. I did not have a chance to put on the agenda, so I do apologize for that. Fundraising. We need a calls from back when we promoted the sales tax. Went after the sales tax, we did kind of say, hey, we're going to fundraise $2 million. And so we want to make sure that, we do that to the best of our ability. Hopefully we can raise more than that. The more that we raise, the more that we can put into some of these items, or, we can spend a little bit more now that we're seeing, kind of the design come together with the outdoor pool renovation. If we have something to show folks when we're asking them for money, it's a lot easier for them to be giving and opening up the checkbook. So, but I do think that we have to have a separate committee because this is a large group, kind of 3 or 4 maybe, that are going to tackle the fundraising side. So I kind of wanted to plant that seed in everybody's head here and think about it. Or if somebody wants to start volunteering now, we can do that too, or we can do that next meeting. It's up to you all. But we do have to come up with a fundraising committee.
Could it be outside of this committee? I mean, outside of this group?
Sure. Why not? Absolutely. Yeah, remember, this is an advisory committee, so we got a lot of flexibility.
Otherwise, we would know more.
Might be good at the Fall Fest to have, a booth or something there outside with people talking about fundraising.
That's a good idea.
We have anything in drawings? We have some nice pictures.
I put a note that you guys need some promotional materials.
Yeah.
So we'll come up with something. That's Fall Fest.
Yeah.
Right. And at what point are we going to bring the citizen engagement piece into this? Well, at what point are we going to bring the citizen engagement piece? I know we do have 4 watching live. So.
Are you one of them?
Yeah. So, hey, come on now. Don't give away our secret of the numbers here. But
I've
yeah,
been
that is
promoting
something
your
we did.
YouTube. Or is it YouTube that
Yep,
we're on? Okay, that's what I thought. Yeah, I've been promoting it. I'm like, people are like, well, what's going on with the committee? And I'm like, watch the YouTube channel.
Do you have some fundraising ideas too of how to approach folks, or what has been successful in past projects for you that can maybe help us? Any takers, or everyone want to think about it? All right. Seems like we're going to think about it. I'll put it on the next agenda, and then I will expect a decision in 2 weeks. All right. Also, what? Okay.
Yeah, it's great. That's
Am I?
great.
It's been a month. So next item, new committee member. And so, as you guys, as everyone's probably has seen, we do have a committee member list. Most have been active. We do have maybe one that hasn't been. And so we are going to replace that individual with someone who is going to be more engaging, because we want to make sure that if you are on the committee, like you all, I mean, you attend meetings when you can. I don't expect you to make every single one. I don't, but at least, once, every year and a half. It'd be great. And so, is that sarcastic for you enough?
That works.
And so we're going to, Neil and I and Roger and folks, we reached out to the Outdoor Spaces Board, and that is why Tina Payne is here. Hi, Tina. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Wow. A couple years.
Fundraising.
Yep. Not that this is
Coincidence.
just coincidence. Absolutely. As long as he moves back here when he's ready to move on his professional career. Yes, absolutely. So that is going to be an item on this council's agenda next Tuesday to go ahead and just kind of update the committee member list. I just wanted to not catch y'all off guard. And if you have any issues or questions, let me know. Those are the two items that I had underneath the kind of the general discussion. Open it up to the rest of the committee.
I want to say thank you for all the committee members spending their volunteer time. So I think it's good for us to hear community feedback, and then you guys are around a lot of the community too. So I appreciate all your time to be here and take the time to do this. So thank you.
And I did talk to several people about the location of the new facility, and 75-20 for the new northern. And some folks were saying, no, we voted for it in Lions Park. And then some folks say, it's no brainer. So, but there is an interest. So we've got to stay on top of it, make sure we get as much information out to the public as possible, be as transparent as possible, because I think that's an important aspect of selling. And one other thing, you didn't give us an update on our revenues.
We haven't received any since the last update.
Okay.
And so those are just once a month and they're towards the end. So we're just too early this month. So next meeting, we should have it. So probably, every 3 meetings or so, we should have an update. No problem. You too can find them on the website.
Okay. In the app too, right?
Actually, yeah, it is on the app. And that's a great way too, that we could start sending push notifications once we actually have more to give them. Right now we don't have a concept, we don't have anything to really post, besides just what you all have seen. So I mean, kind of want to have it dressed up a little bit before we really start pushing the promotional side.
I think Fall Fest.
That's a great idea.
Really.
Yeah.
Really.
And that is September 24th.
You can have 24th, 25th, something like that.
3rd,
23rd.
23rd,
That's
24th.
right, 23rd, 24th, and then
Thank you,
Sunday is
Dr.
the 25th. That's right.
The pool closed now.
It is.
And when is it going to get drained?
It is being drained.
And so we'll have probably some answers on all the issues we got underneath or whatever by next meeting, maybe. I'm not pressing it. I'm just asking you. I don't know.
I think
It'll
they're
get to
going to want to
Brian.
look at it and evaluate
Okay.
it. And we haven't talked about that quite yet. But
Okay.
yeah, that was definitely on their agenda, Andy.
We have a huge attendance at football. We just-
Well attended.
Massive attendance.
December 9th would be a good one.
We have a football team because, we have a band.
Saying, we're gonna have lots of cheerleaders.
Oh, wow. Thanks.
You thought I was sarcastic, and he didn't even listen. He didn't even. Oh, jeez.
We
All
attended a thing for the band. We had a thing for the band last night, and then my kids made a comment. Why is the high school parking lot so full? It was loaded. I said, we have a high school band or football team because we have a band.
Our band's always been.
No, we love football
Uh-huh.
games. We do.
All right. Anything else? Otherwise, next meeting will be August 24th, 6 o'clock. I will look at number 7 here when anybody's ready.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Thank you. Motion by motion by Corey, seconded by Janet. Can't talk. To adjourn at 6:51. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. We are adjourned. Thank you all.